Hello, everybody.
Hi, Coach.
Hope everybody's doing well. Mark, I'll just touch on a few things and then get to the questions.
Sounds good.
Practice number 9 went really well. The guys have they've practiced hard all 9 practices. They've been engaged. They've been physical. So I'm really pleased with what they're doing and how they're doing it. They understand the expectations are much higher publicly, and they understand that standard's been set by them for 2 years, but they've got to live up to it. And that's those are what we call with them just facts. To clear up something I said last week about the transfer portal, the way we understand it, the last day you can enter the portal right now is July the 1st for this year. And then next year, the last day you can enter the portal is May the 1st. So I'm not sure why we're giving guys more time this year than next year, but that's what we're being told will be those dates. And that's important. As far as spring practice is concerned and looking back at the first scrimmage, we're not looking at schemes. We'll look at a few scheme changes during the week. But during the scrimmages on Saturday, we're simply looking at evaluation days. So you don't have a game plan. So sometimes you got a great looking play or a bad play, and it may just be because they called a defense into an offensive play that didn't work and you're not checking out of it near as much. But so far we're staying decently healthy. We're being physical and we're pushing great effort. We've got to have 100% out of everybody that's on that field. And the biggest thing we've got to do that's not happening yet, we've got to continue to separate at wide receiver and at running back. We're at least as good or better at every other position than those two. We lost 2 draft choices at wide receiver and 2 draft choices at running back. And we're having daily evaluation to try to make sure that we separate those 2 groups. We're still pushing the fact that we need pass rushers. So we're looking really hard to determine over the next week and a half who our best pass rushers are, and are there any that are coming in that may add to that group, and try to get them on the field. So you got to stop the run on first down or stop first down plays and put people in second long and third and long and get your pass rushers involved to try to start getting more turnovers. And we're continuing to emphasize catching the ball. If you're a linebacker, defensive back, and you get your hands on it like a receiver, you got to catch it. And we're pushing the fact hard that we've got to be 80-20 on our side of the ball when it comes to the deep balls downfield. You can't be 50-50 anymore and win. You've got to do a better job than that. Really pleased with the improvement of the depth along the offensive line. William Barnes continues to play well. Kerryon Johnson would be another guy in that group. He would be 7. And then you've got Josh Azudu, who started last year and one of our best linemen, not practicing this spring. So with the 5 that are playing with the blue team right now and the addition of those 3, that would give us a strong 8. And then we do feel like right now that our white offensive line is making progress. They're much better than at any time last year. And you try to continue to build your roster and you want to stay 2 years ahead. So if Jordan Tucker and Marcus McKeithen go to the NFL, who takes their place a year from now, 2 years from now? So that's what we continually work on is who steps in next. I am concerned after the NCAA gave guys an extra year of eligibility last year. Everybody across sports in college sports period, not just football, but we'll have 90 something on scholarship next year. And what's going to happen, because the NCAA made the decision to let people have an extra year of eligibility, which we played 12 games. So I don't think that was needed at all. We could have had our same rules. We could have had the same redshirt rules. Now they're taking opportunities away from hundreds to thousands of young people for scholarships this year in the 22 class. So if they cap us at 85 for next year, they're either going to force people to run off some players, which some will do across the country, or they're taking scholarships away from young people who have worked hard their whole life and deserve the opportunity. And this is about kids. This is about young people. We'll all be okay. Everybody will be okay because you got all your players back, but it's not fair to the kids. So I beg the NCAA and the oversight committee and the council to take a hard look at what's best for these young people, because they fight their guts out their whole year to earn a scholarship. Now they're in a position to earn it, and we're taking it away from them because of a decision that was made last year. That's very, very unfair to the class of 22. And also for roster management, 4 years from now, you may have 10 or less players in a senior class, so you could just lose an entire senior class. So I really think that we need to look at that. We're also expecting rulings by April 15th on what we can do in June and July. So will June go back to normal? Will it be a quiet period where we can't go off campus, but we can have official visits and we can have unofficial visits on our campus? There's some thought that people may even, the NCAA may allow us to open up for July. So we're working under the perception again that June's going to be open for camps and June's going to be open for official visits, but we should know that in the next couple of days. Also, really pleased that all of our tickets were gone for the spring game within 2 hours of when they were posted. I hate the fact that we can only get 10,600 in, but that's a mandate by the state. And a lot of people are really disappointed that they can't get in. And I just hope and pray that we'll have a full house when we able to have a full house when we come back to work in September for the games, because people are eager to get out and see the team play. And I really hate the fact that they will not be able to do that like they would want to, even though it'll be on ACC Network at 3 o'clock on April 24th. The other thing we talked about a lot this week is how people learn. Some people learn in the video room. Some people learn on the grease board, and some people learn in walkthroughs. And that's why the NCAA giving us a chance to have walkthroughs for 2 weeks before we started spring, and last year having walkthroughs 2 weeks before we started fall really was an advantage to a lot of, especially the early enrollees and the guys that will be coming in June. So I like that a lot. And then we're excited that we got our date for September 3rd. We would rather play on Thursday when we're opening up with Virginia Tech instead of Friday for high school football and in both North Carolina and Virginia, but we have no control over that. So we always request Thursday before Friday because we don't want to take away from our high school games. Mark, if anybody's got anything, I'd be glad to answer.
Thank you, Coach. We will begin with Ralph Russo. Go ahead, Ralph.
Hey, Mack. I wanted to ask you a little bit about, you brought up some of the transfer rules that are about are faced with the reality of the fact that players will be able to transfer and immediately play, which will probably mean an uptick in transfers. How does that change your strategy and how you run a program and manage a roster?
Ralph, it's a great question because it's going to change college athletics, not just college football. I see 4 and 5 basketball players leaving a team to go to another team. It's just crazy. And they don't have as many players as we do. After we get through with spring practice, if a guy's not starting, he may get mad and want to enter the portal, and now he doesn't have to do that till July 1st. So we could be sitting here and lose 3 or 4 different players at one position in July and not be able to replace them. So I understand the concept. There are some good things about guys that can't play at one place being able to transfer to another place where they play. But I think it's also another hurt to the high school players, because a lot of people might take one of our second team players at the FCS level, or maybe a group of 5 that would have recruited one of those 22 kids, and now he'd rather have a transfer that's a little bit older and proven than a high school kid. And the second part of that is that people are now hiring personnel to look at the to look at the transfer portal to try to recruit out of the transfer portal. And the other question, Ralph, is people say that you can't tamper. Well, it seems like people are making decisions very quickly when they leave one school to go to another, and usually people have a place to go. So, and the last part of this that bothers me, there's over 2,000 kids that went into the football transfer portal. The last date I got, which I think was update I got last week, was that only a little over 37% had a place to go. So I'm afraid we're allowing young people to be frustrated because they're not getting what they want where they are. The ones that jump into the portal and don't already have a place to go, because the great ones have a place to go. The ones that don't have a place to go, a lot of them aren't getting near as good a deal as they've gotten, and some will get left out and not even get scholarships. I think it also will most likely hurt graduation rates. So I'm not sure that we've made the proper decision on how it should be set up, and I'm not sure that it's going to be best for the young people as well as college sports.
Thank you, Mack. I hope you got your vaccination.
Thank you, Ralph. I've gotten both, so I'm good. The good thing was I got it early. The bad thing was I got it early because I'm old. So that's the good and the bad.
All right, let's go to Andrew Jones, please.
Hey, Coach. Outside of Eugene and Jeremiah at middle linebacker, Kadri has a little bit of experience, but the other three guys don't really have any. Cedric, I guess, played a little bit on special teams. Can you kind of catch us up to date with how things look behind Eugene and Jeremiah there?
Yes, Andrew. All those guys are playing well. We're really pleased with first Ra and Power. They both they're playing ahead of what they should be playing. I call them high school seniors. They tell me they're college freshmen, and they really are, but they still should be in high school based on their early enrollment. But they're playing ahead of where we would have thought they're playing at this time. And then you've got Cedric Gray, who's playing well along with Kadri. And we're not playing Jeremiah Gimma much at all this spring. He's a great leader. He's been around, but he'll get in drills, but he's not playing in most of the team stuff. He didn't scrimmage Saturday. So we're really trying to look at those younger guys. So we're playing Kadri a lot more because he hadn't played as much. We're getting Eugene Asante out some, and then we're really working to play those other three guys so we can try to separate them like we are the running backs and the wide receivers. The hard thing for a guy like Kadri, he's really good, but Gimmel's going to play a lot. And Eugene stepped up behind Chaz Surratt, and he's playing really well. So we've got to start forcing ourselves to play more people and make sure that they get more snaps. And that's something we haven't done much at that position.
If I may ask a quick follow-up, you had said at the outset of spring practice that there was a period for the new guys, the early enrollees, to sort of acclimate themselves to things. How quickly did Power and Ra acclimate themselves?
They're jumping into it very quickly. And I told them after practice a few minutes ago, you young guys, there's a lot of pressure on you to learn how to go to college. You've got to learn the off-season program. You're already doing that. And now you're learning how to practice. So don't put pressure on yourself to do everything right yet. We want them to learn what to do. And then they can really earn their positions and their possibility of earning playing time more in the fall than they can in the spring. But it was probably a great example with Sam Howell when he came in and didn't practice well because he was trying to get the job instead of learning what to do. So that's what we're telling these guys. Learn what to do. We're seeing plays. Sometimes they're not 100% all the time. They don't know how to work like some of the other guys. Sometimes they're not quite as physical because they're not as strong. But we told them, don't worry about that. You just got here. You've been here a month and a half or something. So enjoy growing into a position and don't worry about what you're playing right now.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, next up, CL Brown.
Hey, Mack, I wanted to ask about Sam. I think there's an assumption, made by me and a lot of people that just based on his first 2 years, he'll naturally progress and get better in this third year. But I wanted to know in what ways are you kind of pushing him and motivating him to make sure he takes another step forward in his development?
See, it's another really good question, because you never know with attitudes of young guys. Does he feel too comfortable and he knows the offense so well and get a little bit bored? And right now, Sam's really trying to work through that and make sure that he leads. Plus, we have a tremendous amount of pressure to find a backup quarterback. I mean, Sam's one snap away from being out of the game anyway, and we haven't played anybody behind him. But also, we feel like he's going to leave after the year and go to the NFL. So some heir apparent, or we're going to have to share it with two people, or somebody got to take over. So we're actually having Sam coach the young ones and help them a lot right now too. But we're lucky that Sam's got a great attitude, and he's tough and he's smart and he's driven, and he knows that he'd like to win all the games and then have a great career in the NFL. So he's not going to get bored. But your question is so true. That's why you look at a lot of seniors that probably don't have their great senior year, because they just relax and take some time off. We're working hard with guys like Garrett Walston and Tamon Fox and Tyrone Hopper, all those other seniors, Grayson Atkins, a lot of those guys that came back. Again, most of the time they're doing drills and getting stronger and more flexible and getting their bodies in better shape than they are with teams and scrimmages. But we do not want any of our seniors to get bored, and that's easy to do.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Okay, over to Eric Boynton.
Yeah, hi, Coach. Eric Boynton with the Spartan Herald Journal, South Carolina. Last year, with Carter in mind, 3 carries. They were within 1 carry of each other. They both caught a nice amount of passes. What kind of the key is as far as having almost a perfect rotation when you have 2 talented backs? Do you go in with a set plan every game? Is it more by feel, or how did you manage to get these 2 talented guys an almost identical amount of carries a year?
Eric, I'll give all that credit to Robert Gillespie. He managed it. I stayed out of it because it was working. First, the 2 young guys, Javante and Michael, liked each other. They respected each other. They didn't care who scored. So Robert had a great feel of when to take them out if they looked a little tired, or if a guy had the hot hand, keeping him in. And I will say, for the 2 years we've been here, it was never in question. Neither running back ever said, man, I didn't get enough touches, or even when we had Antonio Williams, they still alternated the guys well. So Larry Porter's working toward figuring that out right now. But I thought that Robert Gillespie did as good a job coaching those 2 guys and balancing their snaps and their reps and keeping them both healthy and fresh as anybody I had ever seen. And I was like you, every week I'd look up and I'd always wonder. I'd come in after the game, I'm watching the video, and I'd look at the carries, and they're all about exactly the same every week. And he signaled in the plays. So he and the players just had a great knack of figuring that out. And Larry's got to do the same thing.
Over to Dina King, please.
Hey, Coach. What have you liked at what you've seen from the backup quarterbacks?
Dina, I think that Jacoby Criswell is better than he's been for the year that he's been here. He made great progress in Saturday scrimmage. Still missed a couple of throws that he's got to hit, but he seemed more confident and he seemed more in control. Drake right now is more like Sam when he got here. And Jacoby didn't have a spring practice, so that's unique in itself. But Drake's trying so hard that you can tell he runs better than anybody dreamed he could run at 6'5". He's very accurate. He's got a strong arm. He's smart. He's going to be really good as well, but probably pressing a little bit some right now. And Jefferson Boaz he's got some upside too. He's made some good plays. He's thrown the ball well. We forget that he was the player of the year in, I think, basketball, football, and baseball. So he's a really good athlete, and we need 4 quarterbacks, and we've got to keep those 4 any way possible. So I don't see that clearing up this spring. I think it'll be more like Sam and Jace and Cade when we first got here. I think that the backup will probably be separated more in the fall, just because it's the first spring that Jacoby's ever been through, and the same with Jefferson. I mean, the other guys, Drake, those guys just haven't been through spring, so they're working through learning what to do right now with the offense.
One more thing, seeing you were going to play some golf. Have you been working on your golf that you're going to be teaming up with Coach Williams?
No, Dana, I'm in trouble. Coach Williams is probably playing more golf than I am, and he was better than me when he wasn't playing as much. And I've got some people calling me for tournaments, and I'm thinking, how ugly is that going to be? So I think what I would advise for the tournaments I'm playing in, if there is a crowd, they need to back way up, especially when I'm teeing off. So right now I'm a lot more worried about getting better than my golf, but my golf will have to catch up. I'll just have to compete. I do know this, Dina, if you're playing great golf while you're the coach, people are questioning your coaching. When they see me swing, they're going to say, that guy has not spent any time on that golf course, man. So I know he's working. So at least I'm going to look like I've been working.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Davis Wallace, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you talked about having a great pass rusher. I was just wondering, with someone like Keyshawn Silver, what we have to do to be a great pass rusher that is needed for this year's team?
Davis, we're really lucky that Javari Ritzie and Keyshawn came in. They're both 6'5", 6'6". One's 285, one's 306 pounds. And they look really good. They do not look like high school seniors. And we're really pleased with both of them. Keyshawn has had a sprained ankle since about the second time we've practiced. So he's fighting through it, but he hasn't missed practice, but he's really fighting to try to get out there and get well and be 100%. So I can't wait to see him 100%. And Javari's just been killing it. He's been all over the place. And so those 2 young guys, I think both have a chance to be superstars.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Davis.
Okay, Ross Martin, go ahead.
Hey, Coach Brown, you've mentioned William Barnes a lot, and I think other offensive linemen have mentioned him a lot. And he was a 4-star. I think he was the highest ranked recruit in his class. Just wondering what you've seen from his development, why you think he's gotten to where he is now, what he's done to kind of get to the point where he is one of those rotational guys in your top 7 offensive linemen.
Yeah, Ross, we're really excited about William. He struggled for the 2 years we've been here, or the 1 spring and the 2 falls. And he was at 242 pounds, and now he's 342 pounds, and now he's at 320. So he's really lost a lot of weight. He's working really hard with our nutritionist to keep it down. He's gotten much stronger, and he made good plays in our year and a half or 2 falls with him, but he wasn't consistent. And I thought he looked good again today in our 9th practice. And every day I see him, I come out and say, give me another one. Give me another one. We're doing good, man. But he could go in the rotation with the blue team today. And that's something he could not have consistently done in our previous 2 falls. So he's been one of the biggest surprises and most exciting players right now for us moving forward this spring. And I'm happy for him. He's a great student. He's a great young man. He was very highly recruited. Everybody always asks, why isn't he playing? Why aren't you playing? And now the light comes on at different times for different people. And I really think it's his time to step up and play. And then he would be in a great position to step up and take either Jordan Tucker's place or Marcus McKeithen if they decide to go to the NFL in another year.
Yeah, so you just mentioned a tackle and a guard. Is he playing mostly at guard, or where is he rotating in at?
Stacy Searles, our offensive line coach, is using Curion Johnson at both center and guard, He's using Marcus McKeithen at both tackle and guard, and he's using William Barnes at both tackle and guard, and on either side. And he's doing the same thing with Josh Azudu when he's in there. Stacy really loves to build depth that way. So to have your best 5 playing when they're rested, he wants to make sure that they're very well versed at each position.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Ross.
Greg Barnes, go ahead.
Mack, I sense some frustration with the communication from the NCAA and how some of these things are being handled, whether it be the transfer portal or the scholarship situation for 2022. You've talked in the past about a need for a college football commissioner. Is there any avenue right now available to you and other head coaches to share these concerns with the NCAA and maybe get some quicker action on these items?
Greg, there's really not, and it is a frustration for me. I love college football, and I've been doing this my whole life. And one of the reasons I came back was to try to help, and I want to be a voice. And a lot of coaches, younger coaches or coaches that may be under some scrutiny at their own jobs can't speak out, and I can. And I want the NCAA to start listening to coaches more. They're not. Sometimes athletics directors are listening to the coach, and then they'll go vote in a manner that the coach doesn't care about. So our coaches need to have a bigger voice, needs to be stronger. The oversight committee right now, which is making a lot of these decisions, has one coach on it. It's David Cutcliffe, and it's a big committee, and he gets worn down because nobody listened to him. And it's not best for young people if they don't have coaches involved. We've got Todd Berry at the American Football Coaches Association, and Todd's not on any of these committees. They won't listen to him. So I'm really, really concerned that even name, image, and likeness, everybody wants to help the guys, but we don't know what that means. It's been out there for a year, and we don't know what it means. And we don't know when it's going to place. And all of us are trying to help young people, and we're trying to help their branding, and we're trying to help them when they get out of school. But what does name, image, and likeness mean? And now it's in the political realm, and it's all over the place. We still don't know what it means. So we're being asked about it. Athletics directors have tremendous amount of pressure on them about name, image, and likeness. They don't know what it means. And then the NCAA gives all these kids and all these sports an extra year back while universities and athletics directors are losing money. And we don't even think about that. We don't think about how they're going to pay for all this. So you lose millions of dollars on a year with COVID and give extra people opportunities. So you're putting pressure now on that athletics director or those coaches to determine we don't have enough money to bring you super seniors back. So the schools with money are going to treat the kids better than the schools that do not. And then I'm passionate. If I had a son or a grandson right now that was in the 22 class, I'd be furious. I'd be raising Cain because it's not fair. It's not fair that maybe you don't have enough money to go to college and you've worked your whole life to get to a point where you get a scholarship, and now the school can't give you a scholarship because they don't have one. That's not fair. And those young people shouldn't be punished because of a decision we made at the NCAA level for everybody else. And we're still sitting here right now in the middle of April. We don't know how many we can offer, and we're offering scholarships. That's not fair. That's putting coaches in an awful place. We don't know that we can have camps, and that comes up in June. And we're inviting kids to camp. People are paying for their admissions to camp. We don't know if we're going to have it or not. We don't know about summer vacations for coaches. They don't even know if we're going to be out in July or not. Come on, man. Tell us what to do. Talk to us. Ask us questions. And Greg, that's why I think it's time to get a commissioner that would be, the NCAA is involved in so many different facets. They just got through with March Madness. Get us a commissioner that cares about us. Get us somebody that'll listen to our needs. And get us somebody we can talk to and share these frustrations. Because nobody at the NCAA level is going to have to talk to that parent about not having a scholarship. I've got to explain to them why their son can't go to college. And I think that's very unfair. And I really hope that the NCAA, the oversight committee, will revisit it, because I know athletics directors don't have enough money. And I know that's a problem. So a lot of athletics directors probably say, let's just let it go this year. This is about the kids. This isn't about money. This isn't about who has it. So let each school do what they need to do. Let each school make the decision. If you've got the money to give the kids a scholarship, give it to them. If you don't, that's okay. We understand that. But don't punish all the universities and all the kids because we made a decision last year during a time where we had no money to add more pressure to the athletics directors. I just don't think it's fair.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Jacob Turner, go ahead.
Hey, Mack, how is the running back room shaking out this spring? I know we've talked to you a little bit in the past about it, in the times we've talked to you, but are you seeing any guys maybe emerge in that room that, maybe weren't a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, Jacob, but another big discussion yesterday about that room, because that room concerns me. I mean, that room's not going to be as good or probably as productive as it was last year. I think we'll be more like we were 2 years ago. But those two guys were special that we had, and we all know that, and you just don't replace them. So you've got Josh Henderson, who made some big runs on Saturday. You're looking at that he and British Brooks have been around, but you're really trying to evaluate Ty Chandler, who just got here. So we've seen him 9 practices, and every day that I watch him, he impresses me more. He can catch. He's 209 pounds. He's running better up inside. He's got, tremendous speed outside. And he stepped up. There was a play that I think it was Miles Murphy that there was a mistake up front Saturday, and he came free, and Ty just stood up and blocked him on a pass protecting issue. Younger guys probably aren't ready to do that yet, but we've said this guy's played against the Auburns and the Alabamas and the Floridas and the Georgias. So he's played a lot of football at a very high level. So I'm very, very impressed with Ty. And I'm so glad that through the transfer portal that we talked about, that we got him. He puts an older guy in that room with a lot of experience. And then you've got to look at the other 3 guys that are there. And DJ Jones is a guy that he had the sore ankle again Saturday. So he had the hurt foot for the bowl game. So he's got to stay well. But he runs really fast. He catches. I like what I see. But he's got to stay out there. He was banged up with an ankle his last year in high school. So we got to make sure that he gets well. And then you look at Elijah Green. We talked about he wasn't with an offense in high school that threw the ball. So he's working really, really hard to make sure he can catch the ball out of the backfield. And he's fighting it every day. Stays after practice every day to do it. He's got some speed. Daryl Moody and I were talking about today. He even has a little bit of some Randy Jordan in him. He stops. He's getting better patience, but he's got great speed when he bursts. And then you've got the 232-pound quarterback, Caleb Hood, who did some good things early on Saturday. And then when it was late, I told Jay Bateman, you kept Boykins on the line of scrimmage, so Caleb couldn't run. I wanted to see him run, so please back your safety off. So I got a chance to watch him at least make some plays. But Caleb looked good again today. So our problem is we've got probably 5 or 6 in there, Jacob. And what we've got to do is we've got to narrow down the reps and start looking at the role for each one. I think we'll be more like we were 2 years ago because we had Antonio Williams and he had a role and he did a really good job with his role. And then even when he got in the games and got hot, he stayed. And then you had Javonte and Michael that kind of had their role too. And we forget Javonte started as a short yardage and goal line guy and had a full year of that. So we've got to figure all this out. And that's why every practice right now is so important. I mean, we can't have a bad practice because we're making decisions. And I told the guys this morning, and it goes back to being honest and having uncomfortable conversations with them. We're going to make decisions here in the next 2 weeks on where you fit. And after spring practice, you young ones, we won't know yet, but you older ones, we're going to tell you, here's the role we think you're going to have. And if you don't like that, I understand. talk to your coach about it, and we'll help you get somewhere else if you're going to be here. Don't stay here and be miserable. Don't stay here and be mad. Stay here and compete if you want to, but if not, that's what the transfer portal's for. We'll help you. And that's where it's really changed. We would have never had these conversations before the last couple of years. And we may have some really good players that are not starting because they've got a great player in front of them that are young that leave. And I hate that. I just hate it. But we're going to tell them the truth, and it is what it is. And that's just a product of the transfer portal.
Thanks,
But
Mack.
again, wide receivers, Jacob, and running backs have to separate.
Okay, let's go to Chapel Fowler.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned with the dead period looking like it's going to end in June, can you kind of just reflect on how your staff adjusted to virtual recruiting for over a year now and how helpful it would be to have some form of in-person stuff back?
Yeah, Chapel, if you can imagine, we were okay with the 21 class because we had met them. They had been in our camps as sophomores or juniors. So we had a year and a half of those guys, and they'd been on our campus a lot for unofficial visits. So we had relationships with the parents and the players. So it hurt us with a couple of kids that just couldn't get here to visit, that we hadn't met, that were out of state. But by and large, it was a great year in state. All of the guys that are here, I love, I'd take again. So that's going to be a great class when we get through and we add the 7 that are coming in June. Since then, we haven't met anybody. We haven't had a face-to-face, and most of these guys we didn't have in camp, or we didn't remember they were freshmen. So right now we've had to be very creative with Dr. Kyra Kendrick, our own campus recruiting coordinator, and Billy High, our recruiting coordinator. They've spent hours trying to figure out, again, through the changing of all the NCAA rules. It's been so fluid that can we have a Zoom? Can we have a Zoom with our players and prospects? Can we have a Zoom with multiple prospects? Can we have a virtual tour? Like right now, we can have all of the prospects in the 22 class do a virtual visit to one of our practices, but you can only do one, and that's per year. So if we had a guy in the 22 class come to our first spring practice, we can't bring him back over Zoom. So that's very difficult. I asked one of our coaches a month ago, why don't you offer this kid? I love him. What's wrong? He said, I've never met him. I'm not sure how big he is. I've never talked to his parents in person. We're in a relationship business. And one of the reasons we recruit so well is we have great relationships and honesty and tough conversations with these parents and kids. That's harder to do on Zoom. So I can't wait, Chapel, till we can get guys back on campus. And Sally and I are moving into a house this week that's less than a mile from my office. And that means we can have unofficial visits to my office. To my house. So that's going to be great too, that not only can we have them visit on campus, but we can actually have them in our home. And all of those things we've really missed. Now we've learned some things, and it'll be really interesting to see what will we carry over and do next year after we get through with the COVID, hopefully. What will we carry over from what we learned from COVID with Zoom and FaceTime? And so, and how will the rules change back? The NCAA has done a good job of being flexible enough with the 21 class and the 22 class that they have given us a chance to get to know the kids and parents better than we could have with the old rules. I don't know if those rules will go back to normal or not. I would like to see us where we can call the kids anytime after they start their junior year. We can FaceTime them anytime. We can Zoom with them anytime. They've got caller ID. These kids are smart. If they don't want to talk to us, they're not going to answer. If they don't answer, we know they're answering somebody. We know we're out. So throw out all the rules about what I like and what I can't like. I can't, Sam, we can't like anything that you all do. So if you're sitting there at night and you're seeing videos on kids at camps and stuff, and I like something that Dina just did or put on, and then I get a violation. So throw all that out. None of that matters. What does it matter what you like and what you don't like? So I think there are a lot of things that we could do to simplify the rules, make it easier on the compliance staff. We should be going after the people who are flagrantly cheating, not the people who are liking something from a media outlet that they shouldn't like.
All right, let's close today. Back over to Eric Boynton. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, Coach, what did Storm Duck maybe gain from being forced to be an observer for nearly an entire season last year? And what do you hope to see from Storm as far as development here in year 3? And does he have a chance to be maybe one of the better cornerbacks in this league?
Yeah, Eric, number one, I think he missed it. He got to get in great shape, except for his foot, but he missed playing, and it was really, really hard emotionally. And you add COVID, and you add the social justice issues we've got out there, and then you add not being able to play. He did a good job handling it. He's from a wonderful family, but I worry about all the young people out there now because they've got so much on them. And then you add a foot injury, it makes it even tougher. But he got stronger. He studied every day, so he knows what to do. If he can stay healthy, I don't think there's any question that he'll be an NFL player. And we've got him back out on the field now, but I just I want him to make sure that he stays healthy through the spring, get all of his confidence back, and then hopefully he'll have a great fall.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys letting me jump on today. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Well, Coach, thanks for your time today. We always appreciate it.
Thank you, folks, and I'll talk to you next week, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mac.
Thanks, Mac. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, folks.